Everyone who's joined online, we just had slight technical error with the Zoom link. So we're just waiting for one more commissioner who was on the wrong link as well to rejoin, and then we'll get started.
Super, it's working. You can see people are attending, Erin.
Yes, but not Bob.
Fantastic. Yeah, we just need one more.
All right.
Yes.
All right, great. Well, thank you all for your patience. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Madison Planning and Zoning Commission scheduled for 6 p.m. It's now 6:12. Some technical and clerical glitches got worked out, so we're happy that we can go ahead with this meeting as planned and have it be hybrid as it was advertised. So tonight we have present on the commission Bob Reinhardt, Andy Rubin, myself, Carol Snow, Chair, Mike Bugda, and then you can see we have zooming in to join us Commissioner Janet Peckinpah, John Morgan, and Bob O'Connor, who's down in DC, I believe. Before we go further, I'd like to say that one of our commissioners has recused himself, so I want to read his recusal for the record. It's Commissioner John Duza, and he sent me a message to read to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The owner of the building in Guilford where I lease office space is a co-owner of the LLC applying for the special exception permit. This indirect relationship does not preclude me from being impartial and fair in this matter, but in order to avoid the appearance of any conflict of interest, I will recuse myself from this meeting. Respectively, John Duza. That's read for the record. Anyone else have any complications? Okay, I think we're good to go then. I thought I'd again give a quick recap. At our January 18th, 2024 regular meeting, I provided information and context on the voluminous records in this case as we perform due diligence in reviewing the substantial evidence to support our findings. Other commissioners added their insights to that summary. It should be noted, I think, that the appeal was made against both the Madison Planning and Zoning Commission and the applicant 856 Boston Post Rd LLC. On January 30th, we received a request from attorney Marjorie Shansky, who represents 856 Boston Post Rd LLC under the Freedom of Information Act, asking for copies of our notes from that meeting, which we provided. The purpose of this evening's special meeting is for the Planning and Zoning Commission to reach decisions as per Judge Wilson's directions and her July 21st, 2023 memorandum of decision, and in her November 24th, 2023 decision on the September 25th, 2023 motion for clarification filed by Attorney Geldman. I quote, "The commission should look to the evidence in the existing record regarding the impact of the proposed septic system on coastal resources to inform its decision in engaging in the single review process on whether to approve or deny both the special exception permit and the coastal site plan. The commission is directed only to consider the existing evidence in the record regarding the potential effects of the proposed septic system on the coastal resources, as they are required to do under the CAM Act as well as the Madison zoning regulations." So we arrived. Please note that during this process, our attorneys advise the commission not to have ex parte communications. I would now like to open up the discussions then on our commissioners. There are further discussions since our last meeting. The commissioners have any further questions, input? Janet, John, and Bob online?
I'm fine.
We could for conclusions and decisions.
Carol, I'm good.
You're good? Okay, thank you. Well,
Yeah, I don't have anything new either.
you go ahead, or if anyone else would like to go ahead. Would you like to?
Yeah, so I'd like to be more input first, but what I just wanted to say, I mean, you captured the remand from the court, specifically what we need to look at, and the idea that it's about the potential impact of the septic system, and to just look at the evidence in the record. And I spent many hours looking at the record. It's a lot.
Track along the way.
And I've struggled a lot because there's so much information, yet there's not a lot of information. There's a lot of information on a lot of things, but very little. Actually, a fairly compelling lack of evidence specific to the septic system. And the reason that came out of that is that when I looked at, I looked back then again at the question that the court asked us, which is, they didn't ask us whether the right decision was made, because it's obvious when you look at the evidence that no decision was made with respect to the septic system and the impact of coastal resources. The commission chose not to discuss it. They expressed concerns, they talked about specifics, but they never discussed it and never asked questions. So when you look at all this, you see a lot of testimony. You see testimony from the applicant, which is, in some respects, comes across as being light, but then you look at it as they were saving information for their application with the health department. The whole point was that it was out of the purview of the commission, so there's no point talking about it. So you get this fairly light representation of the septic system and the potential impact, and the commission doesn't ask any clarifying questions to dig into the details and pull out of that what else needs to be done. Then you get the applicant, which came forward, and others who spoke for the applicant, not the applicant, the intervener, and those who spoke on behalf of the intervener. From the record, I started to lose who was actually part of the intervener group and who were just public speaking on their behalf. And they had a lot of evidence, but the same problem applies. There were no questions. So while they had an abundance of evidence why the septic system could have an impact on the coastal resources, no one ever challenged them, especially challenged them with respect to the position that the applicant was taking. So we ended up in this conundrum, this void of a lot of information, very little challenge. And so I don't think there's anything there with respect to how there's no compelling evidence one way or the other. So I look at it this way, it kind of leaves us in this quandary where I just wrote it down, so I want to get it right. We've been asked to make a decision based on evidence in the record, evidence called for testimony that was presented, but never created, never challenged, and never elaborated upon. It's just what someone said. No one ever asked a question about it.
And it was also compounded by the admissions given there throughout the entire process.
Yeah, and no one ever,
Challenge that much.
there is enough there that it could have been a very robust conversation.
Correct.
And there was. And then I feel like we need to get this decision. We don't want to get this decision wrong, because the effluent components, if they're not treated correctly, if they're not filtered, if they're not converted, if there's an opportunity for them to reach the coastal resources, they have a dramatic impact on those resources. So that's kind of where I landed after looking at it all. I don't know if anyone wants to confer, debate, tell me I'm wrong.
No,
I like a
I agree with you,
robust
Bob.
argument at this point right now.
Also, we're not allowed to enter in any other evidence.
No, nothing else
or
exists.
any other input at all to where we're at this point in time. And to me, even with bringing up the point of an alternate system or a backup system, there's nothing that supports anything other than what they said that they had. So that brings too many questions to my mind.
There are a couple of specific items in the record that pop up to me, but it's more like an abundance. Like there's just telling the weight of it all coming together.
I think I'd just like to add that this whole process is quite unprecedented, having a judge remand back to the commission. And again, the appeal was the commission and the applicant, and now we've sort of gone in different directions, I think, as a commission. So it's a very complicated legal situation
On top of it all.
on top of it all. Yeah.
You guys online have anything, any thoughts?
Well, I kind of, my feeling was, Bob, that what I felt was what was presented, and I'm, looking at all the evidence, looking at everything that they heard from the experts. And I feel like they didn't ask a lot of questions or question what they heard. And I feel like they threw it back on, well, that's not really in our purview. That should be, the sanitation. This should be the health department. And they threw it back that way. And they kept saying, well, we'll wait and see what the health department says. But we never saw any evidence. I mean, what did the health department say? To what we have seen, I don't think it was ever taken back to the health department. At least maybe I missed that, but in all the meetings that I saw from March through June 17th, I didn't see anything about the health department getting involved again.
And I can add to that too, that in the past, a condition was put upon the approval of special exceptions that stated quite clearly that it would be, it had to be approved by the health department, whether it's the state health department or the Madison health.
Right.
And that was definitely a condition of acceptance. But in this case, other conditions were put in place that also could be considered not the purview of Planning and Zoning Commission, but they were there, and this was omitted. So again, it's another kind of omission that we're sort of trying to figure out how to work around.
Yes, my 2 cents is in agreement with everything you've said. It's frustrating because you wish there had been the follow-up. There was a lot of evidence presented that there is a risk that's not speculative. That is, it's not absurd. It's not one of these, well, if a giraffe would have dropped off of an airplane and landed on a trampoline, no. It's real potential problems. So I think the risk is real. Maybe we don't have enough to move ahead and say, yeah, sure, there's no problem here, because the issues raised are really far-fetched. They're not.
That has to be resolved, and pretty simple. And the health department has to weigh in.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we go about making a resolution on this.
So
Is it specific,
again,
or
going
is it
back
just
to the
following
judge, we have the choice
There's
of
2 choices.
approving or denying.
Yeah.
Based on what we have
We're not happy about that either.
to go on, which is somewhat scant. Yeah. I have come to think that what we have to do based on what we've seen and the evidence is deny.
Should we come up with the wording of a resolution and then bounce that around and see if we can come up with that? So I wrote the following, a review of the tech, Karen, I'm gonna speak what I think could be the resolution. So you can let me know if I say anything the wrong way.
Are you looking for me to write that?
No, I got it written down. Why don't you tell me if I do it wrong? From the
If there are any problems with the
structural
waiver.
aspect of the,
We're appealing to your expertise.
Oh, well, I think as long as you are addressing the specific
all right.
request, it's,
first time, I just want to make sure you.
well, let's hear it.
Review of the testimony and evidence in the record supports that the design selected for the septic system has the potential to impact coastal resources. Both the special exception permit and the coastal site plan are denied. That would be the proposed resolution. I went through all the iterations of conditions that could apply, but every time I went back to the remand, it said do this or that. I didn't see the room.
I mean, we can support it with what we've found in the
Sure.
evidence.
I didn't think we needed to put some detail in that.
It's fine there. Our hands are tied. We only go one way or the other. Don't have enough to say. Because there's still these things in question. It's pretty simple. It's unfortunate, but that's not a choice. We can't reopen it.
And I will also vote.
Okay, so that's the resolution. We have someone to second it. Like, everybody?
So I just want to actually step in and say what the process as I understand it is, Aaron, and if you want to add anything to it, but we reach our findings, our decision as presented as a proposal for us to approve, or, to agree on, to vote on. And then it goes, we give you what we have, Aaron, and then you pass it along to our attorney. Is that correct?
Right, so
Who then
land use
prepares
council
it as a
will,
formal resolution response to Judge Wilson's remand. We would also I'd like to request that we see that before it goes to Judge Remand to make sure that it's captured what we've said. And again, we can add to it with
Okay.
some of the supporting information if that's required, if we need to support with substantial evidence.
well, that's my understanding of the remand is for the commission to look to the record for evidence that the commission considered the impacts of the septic system on coastal resources as it relates to the special exception and the coastal site plan application.
Right.
I didn't read that as the commission rehears and makes a decision on whether to approve or deny those.
Okay.
I think the judge is asking you to search the record and show whether or not this commission did that, and ultimately it's the judge's decision.
No, that's not how I read it. And that's
Well,
where-
she's the decision maker of the appeal. This is not,
Sorry, y'all can't.
this is not for
You
public,
can't talk.
conversation. but ultimately the judge will, based on the information that the commission provides to her, will then make her decision on the appeal.
It's not how I read it. And I skipped I went
Yep.
to, I've been reading the clarification because it's tighter. The
Yep.
request for clarification. And what I got was, there's two paragraphs. The commission should look to the evidence in the existing record regarding the impact of the proposed septic system on coastal resources to inform its decision in engaging in the single review process on whether to approve or deny both the special exception permit and the coastal site plan. Second paragraph. The court further directs that the commission shall not reopen the hearing to take additional evidence. The commission is directed only to consider the existing evidence in the record regarding the potential effects of the proposed septic system on the coastal resources as they are required to do under the CAM Act, as well as the Madison zoning regulations. But in that first one, it's inform its decision in engaging in a single review process on whether to approve or deny. I thought at first that the remand that we were supposed to give a full-blown legal opinion on why we should decide one way or the other, but when it came back to this, it seemed clear, to me anyway. So is there a way for us to, but I'm not an attorney, I don't know what.
Well, you've already met with your attorney and through executive session. So I think based off of that, then,
Just give them a finding.
yeah.
I agree with Aaron. I think we were directed to give specifics that we saw through the evidence that we've read through, that we've listened to, and then it's up to the judge to make that decision, not up to us.
But the little bit I've read is that the judge is not going to make a decision on local land use. The judge is just going to say whether we did it the right way or the wrong way.
Right.
I mean, I've read 2 chapters on it, but basically it says the judge allows you to make a decision for your local entity, and you're just gonna make sure you did the right way. So I don't think she's gonna say, yes, it's denied, because that's not in her purview. Her purview would be, you did it wrong. Now, if we say denied and we don't have any reason to say that, then she might come up with it. So I think maybe it's a combination. It's what you said.
Yeah, and
We
I can,
come to a decision whether we approve or deny it.
I can
And then we have to
add
back
some,
that up.
I can add some
with the reasons why.
supporting evidence that I think is substantial. We can see if we're all comfortable with that. It's not, it's basically 2 points for each of those applications.
Okay.
And we covered it at our last meeting. It's part of what when I was sharing so much of the research I had done in putting it in context and trying to find substantial evidence and expert opinions on either side. So I gave that summary. So regarding the special exception permit application, I found that the Madison zoning regulations, section 3.12, special use regulations for small cluster developments, 3.12.I, the maximum number of attached units. No more than 2 units may be attached together. This limitation shall not apply to adaptive reuse of existing buildings, provided the floor area of any such building is expanded by not more than 15%. The application's proposed density exceeds the density allowed by 1 duplex unit, and such higher than allowed density impacts the effect of proposed septic system on the environment and the coastal resources. So there's the zoning regulations from 3.12 about special use for small cluster developments. Then under section 4.4, consideration in granting or denying special exceptions, it states all special exception permits may be granted subject to conditions and safeguards required to preserve public health, safety, convenience, welfare, and the property values of surrounding areas. I found that the interveners' professional consultants provided substantial evidence regarding specific deleterious effects of the proposed septic system on the environment, including the Fence Creek tidal wetlands and possible alternatives for better septic systems. The applicant did not substantially demonstrate that the proposed septic system would not harm the adjacent coastal resources. Again, this is more lack of evidence. The commission did not require any conditions related to the proposed septic system in its conditions for approval. And in my notes, I have exhibit 196 of the court records transcript for June 3rd, 2021, page 66, pages 79 to 81, and page 169 is where that information can be found. So that's for the special exception application. Then looking at the coastal site plan review application. Again, beginning with the application form, Madison's application form for municipal coast site plan review. The applicant misrepresented the site's adjacency to the tidal wetlands on the application form as being not applicable, when in fact it is applicable, as the site is within 1,000 feet of the Fence Creek tidal wetlands. And then looking to the Coastal Management Act, sections 22A-92, 22A-105, and 22A-106. The proposed development poses unacceptable potential adverse effects on preservation of the coastal resources, especially in the context of sea level rise and coastal flooding. Substantial evidence was provided during the public hearings regarding specific and potential deleterious effects of the septic system on the environment, including the Fence Creek tidal wetlands, provided by the environmental interveners professional consultants. In addition, substantially better options for septic systems to better protect the natural sea resources were apparently not acknowledged by the applicant or considered by the commission. And then again, I refer to the same transcript, exhibit 196 for June 3rd, 2021, page 66, page 79 to 81, page 169. So that's something that we can provide. I don't know if anyone else has more to back up our decision, our findings.
You captured all the ones that and pointed them to the specific regulations and concerns, the specific concerns about the modeling in pick one. We talked about the rise in sea level that has potential impact. They're just understanding more about whether that's real or not. Wasn't there. And then the other one was the local versus state jurisdiction on the design of the system, the septic, but you capture that as well.
Yeah. And that's something that should be considered. how it should be considered. It's been done in the past. So there's. Anything else?
Bob has his.
Just, I guess to me, it's those two sections that Bob read earlier. I think it really is clear that what the judge is asking for is for a decision from the Planning and Zoning Commission, whether to approve or deny the requests. She could have read the material in the requests. That, I don't think that solves anything.
I think, Bob, I agree with you both about this. And I do feel that we're lacking the legal advice that maybe we need at this point. But that's why we take our findings and send them to our attorney. And I think, Erin, at this point, we're ready to do that.
You need to make a resolution. You know, read a resolution with a motion, and that resolution will go to the attorney, not to change, but to forward to the judge. So at this point, that's.
Okay.
That's how, it has to be the commission taking an action.
You know, you can make a motion, Bob,
I'm trying to think how to,
incorporate everything.
yeah. Can we, is that a single document that you read, or specific paragraphs in the document that we can reference?
That I have.
Right, so we don't have to read it all through again.
Yes, I mean, I haven't submitted it to Erin because we haven't been allowed to have any kind of communications, but I've read that for the record, so it's on the record. And we can even, I think we could incorporate both what you proposed initially,
Yeah.
Bob, which is a simpler version, and then reference these
Okay,
as evidence.
that's evidence.
I would feel more comfortable, Carol, if we did that, if we put your, if we combined those and sent them back.
Okay,
Okay,
do you want to read them again, or I think we can just refer to them?
I think if we can refer to them, just to save everyone the pain.
Well, just for our clerk, can you do it as combine them as a motion, so then we can have
Read
it
the-
in
read
one
through?
statement for the yeah, so we can accurately.
Sorry.
Just this page.
I think just that side. All right, here's our motion.
All right, so the motion is a review of this testimony and evidence in the record supports that the design selected for the septic system has the potential to impact coastal resources. Specifically, 1, Madison zoning regulations, section 3.12, special use regulations for small cluster developments, 3.12.I, maximum number of attached units, page 21. Maximum number of attached units, no more than 2 units per may be attached together. This limitation shall not apply to adaptive reuse of existing buildings, providing the floor area of any such building is expanded by not more than 15%. The proposed density exceeds the density allowed by 1 duplex. Such higher than allowed density significantly impacts the effect of the proposed septic system on the environment and coastal resources. Number 2, Madison zoning regulations, section 4.4, considerations in granting or denying special exceptions, page 23. All special exception permits may be granted subject to conditions and safeguards required to preserve public health, safety, convenience, welfare, and the property values of surrounding areas. The environmental interveners professional consultants provided substantial evidence regarding specific deleterious effects of the proposed septic system on the environment, including the Fence Creek tidal wetlands and possible alternatives for better septic systems. The applicant did not substantially demonstrate that the proposed septic system would not harm the adjacent coastal resources. Commission did not require any conditions related to the proposed septic system in its conditions for approval. See Exhibit 196, transcript for June 3rd, 2021, page 66, page 79 to 80, page 169. First two apply to the special exception permit. The next two apply for the coastal site plan review. Number one, Town of Madison application form, Town of Madison application form, municipal coastal site plan review. The applicant misrepresented the site's adjacency to tidal wetlands on the application form as being not applicable, when in fact it is applicable as it is within 1,000 feet of Fence Creek tidal wetlands. Number two, Coastal Management Act, Section 22A-92, 22A-105, 22A-106. Proposed development poses unacceptable potential adverse effects on preservation of the coastal resources, especially in the context of sea level rise and coastal flooding. Substantial evidence was provided during the public hearings regarding specific and potential deleterious effects of the septic system on the environment, including the Fence Creek tidal wetlands, provided by the environmental interveners professional consultants. In addition, substantially better options for septic systems to better protect the natural resources were apparently not acknowledged by the applicant or considered by the commission. See Exhibit 196, transcript for June 3rd, 2021, page 66, page 79 through 81, and page 169.
Thank you.
Then, continue both this, so then based on that, both the special exception permit and the coastal site plan are denied.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mike Bogdan? All right. Any further discussion? Move to vote. All in favor? Looks unanimous. Commissioners we have here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the two applications are denied.
Yep.
Submit that, Aaron, in writing so that you can send it. Do you?
I got it. I'll give it.
Okay. Thank you.
Good motion to adjourn.
Jerry,
Second.
Second.
all in favor? Sorry, I did it last week.
Thanks for coming, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the work, everybody.